Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming, first off, to our play of the CCS drama production, Murders in the Air. My name is Joel McCoyne. I'm one of the student directors of this play, and the other one's backstage, Emma Wells. And then our teacher, Mrs. Winkle, is in the back. And so we just wanted to thank you all for coming, and our cast has worked very hard for the past 4 months or so, just working on this play, and so I just hope that you'll appreciate it, and just, if you don't mind, we'll go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and pray, just because I know they're a little nervous back there, so we'll just go ahead and pray for this play. Dear Heavenly Father, God, I thank you for this time that you've given us just to be able to perform this play and just to display all the talents that these people have backstage, God, and I pray you'll just help them, help calm their nerves, and help them remember all their lines as well. And I pray that you'll just help us all do all according, all to the glory of you. And in Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, thank you. Enjoy the production of Murders in the Air.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If I could have your attention. My name is Jane Culpepper, and I have a few announcements I need to make. The circumstances surrounding this production, well, they're just a bit unusual. You see, this is a play that, well, I was so flattered when I was asked to direct it by Billy St. John. The title is Murders in the Air. As you probably noticed on your program, Heir is spelled H-E-I-R, Murders in the Air. Get it? Right. Well, as I was saying, great. You're a wise bunch. As I was saying, I was so flattered when Billy St. John asked me to direct his play, but it wasn't. He kept making changes and rewrites throughout the rehearsal period, which put quite the stress on me and the cast.
You got that right.
Be quiet, Blake! Actors can't be seen or heard until the curtain opens. I've told you this. Sorry about that. We're working on things. So, as you can see, it's not quite finished yet. But don't worry, the show must go on, as someone wise once said. But due to that, it's not quite finished. It's a murder mystery, and, well, Mr. St. John couldn't figure out who the murderer was going to be. He wrote several different endings, and we performed them all for him, and he still couldn't decide. So, well, you guys get to. We've given you all ballots, and during intermission we would ask that you have hopefully determined who the murderer is by then, or have a guess, and that you would vote, because Mr. St. John is not here tonight. He had a little bit of a mental breakdown and is currently in a room with padded walls. So, anyways, I'm in charge, and this is great. This is going to go so great, guys. I'm going to be over in my director's chair to make sure things don't get shaky, because my cast is doing so great with this roll with the tide thing. Anyways, is everybody ready? Alrighty. Enjoy the show.
I'm sorry, Mr. Witherspoon, you startled me.
My apologies, but a slight fear would do no harm. However, a sudden shock to management's 90s and Mr. Starkweather's condition can prove fatal. Remember that.
I'm sorry, again. I guess the storm has put me a little on edge.
Yes, it's a very stormy evening. Can I help get the room?
Yes. Well, all except for Mr. Starkweather.
It's a long drive from this college.
And the storm, well, you know.
Well, I hope we can start without him. It is already past Mr. Starkweather's bedtime, and you know he must have his sleep. I assure you, Miss Louise.
This room is spotless and clean.
I certainly hope so. Mr. Starkweather's asthmatic condition makes the nearest smoke dust potentially lethal. I served as Mr. Starkweather's housekeeper for many years before you came here, Miss Withers. I do not need you to tell me how to do my job. You brought the coffee?
Yes, it's right here on the table.
Then go back to the kitchen and help Minerva with the rest of the refreshments.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Starkweather gave specific instructions that he wished to have everyone present in the drawing room at 8 o'clock sharp. Alice sent her to fetch the rest of the guests in their rooms.
Mr. Starkweather will be ready. Coming, Mr. Starkweather.
You're kidding me.
I done got all the cars parked in the garage as like you asked me to.
As I told you, why waste my breath? You're dripping water all over the foyer. And how many times do I have to tell you not to use the front door, Magnolia? I've told you a million times that servants never use the front door.
I reckon I forgot, Mr. Bensonhurst. Besides, it's raining out there.
I am aware of that. Now it looks as if it has been raining in here as well, thanks to you.
You're welcome.
Go back out the window, and move yourself around to the back door. I think you can manage that.
I don't know, but I suppose we're going to find out.
All right, when the final guest, young Mr. Simon, arrives, I'll summon you so you can park his car for him.
Ooh, good. And while I'm waiting, I'll sit out the stove and see if I can grow gills.
Don't be impertinent.
How can I be something that I don't even know what it means?
Just do as you're told. Go to the kitchen and then wait there until I call for you. Not that way. Have you already forgotten to use the back door?
Nope, but I was hoping you had.
Fool!
I heard that.
All right, Minerva. I think everything's ready.
You think wrong. Place the cups on the saucer so all we'll have to do is pour the coffee.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, the others are coming down. Miss Van Zandt informed me that Mr. Starkweather wishes for the staff to be present as well.
He wants the servants here?
Precisely. Even Magnolia. Had I been informed of that fact sooner, I would have ordered her to take a bath. She has been out in the rain parking cars, so maybe that would help.
If you ask me, nose flood wouldn't help.
Be that as it may, I shall summon her and Miss Trent.
I never know what to wear on special occasions. I do, though, suppose that's why Uncle Simon's inviting us.
I mean, I suppose so when you consider most of the time he treats us like lepers.
You think Uncle Simon treats us like jungle cats?
Not leopards, Mother. Oh, forget it. And Mother, you look fine.
Thank you.
I'll tell you one thing. If we ever should inherit this mausoleum, we'll call up the Adams family and let it know it's on the market.
Counting chickens, are we?
Oh, Minerva, we didn't see you and your attractive young helper there.
Nancy's a nice girl, and I mean for her to stay that way.
I'm not for sure I know what you mean.
I doubt that.
I don't understand.
I believe that, Miss Fiona. Why don't you have a seat and I'll bring you some coffee.
Coffee sounds nice. It's a little damp in here.
It's because it's a lot damp out there. How do you take it?
Oh, Mother's likes hers black. I like mine sweet. I'll flavor it myself.
Whatever.
Ooh, licorice. These are delicious.
Why do you like them?
You're looking very pretty tonight, Nancy.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, that makes me feel as great as Uncle Simon. Call me Jordan.
She'll call you Mr. Starkweather, the way a proper maid should. If anyone's to call you by another name, it'll be me. And you don't want to know which one I'm thinking.
Minerva, you never change.
Neither do you. More's a pity. Now take a seat next to your mother.
Yes, Drill Sergeant.
My goodness, Kathy. I don't know how y'all can stand living out here in booths. I mean, away from fine restaurants and the cinema and department stores. Why, darling, I just sit down and read.
It really isn't that bad, Paula. I stay here during the week, but I go to my apartment in town most weekends.
Well, I am so relieved to hear that.
I worked for a large corporation before Mr. Starkweather hired me as his personal secretary, and believe me, this job is much nicer.
Well, look what we have here. Two beautiful ladies to dispel the gloom. Y'all are beautiful, ladies.
I swear, Cousin George, you are a rogue and a charm.
Won't y'all join us?
Have a seat over there. While we thank her. Would you care for some coffee?
Oh, thank you, Minerva. I'll take my bath.
Though mine down has lots of cream and sugar to it, I must admit, I have an enormous sweet tooth.
Maybe that's what caused that corn-shaped accent.
Cousin Fiona. Fiona, How's our youth this evening?
Very well, thank you, Paula.
Well, that's just peachy. I swear, I don't know why we don't see more of one another. It seems like the only time we ever get together is for somebody's funeral.
Well, aren't all funerals for somebody?
Cousin Jordan, I swear. Now, don't be morbid. I am glad that at least this weekend's an exception to the rule.
So far, anyway.
Oh, that's all right when you didn't spill that.
What did you mean by that remark, Jordan?
Well, it's just that when you called to tell me that Great Uncle Simon wanted us to come to Starkweather Mansion for the weekend, I had supposed that he had passed on.
I mean, I saw you pack my new black dress.
It was just a natural assumption. I mean, the man is getting up in the years, but I'm very glad that the man's still with us, of course.
Kathy, darling, I bet you know why Great Uncle Simon asked us to be here this frightful evening. Come on, spill!
Well, Miss Van Zandt will go into the particulars later, but I do believe Mr. Starkweather wishes to discuss his will.
Really?
I'm appreciative of you being so long,
Minerva, you misjudged me. I was just surprised, that's all.
Now, hey, where's Cousin Simon?
Oh.
Shouldn't he be here too?
Well, when I contacted him earlier this week, he did say he could make it, but apparently he's going to be late, and if he's tried to call, he can't get through because the phones are down.
Well, if we are going to be discussing the will, he should be here, being Great Uncle Simon's only grandchild now.
Yeah, and he'll probably get everything.
Cut! Wait a minute. Now, I thought these family relationships might be a bit confusing. I did suggest Mr. St. John create a scene to explain everything. He was working on it when, well, he snapped like a rubber band. So, I thought I might as well just explain them for you. Could you bring that out here for me, dear? The original old Mr. Simon, who you'll meet shortly, the billionaire, he married late in life and produced one heir, Simon Jr., who then married and had a son, Simon III. The old billionaire was not a single child, of course. He had an older brother, Paul. Paul married and produced one heir, Bella. Bella married an Atlanta businessman, and, well, they had Paula Thompson, whom you definitely met. Then his younger brother, John, married and had an heir, Ezra. Ezra had Fiona, whom is here tonight, and they had Jordan. You definitely have met Jordan by now. Now, the only ones that are still with us are the ones that you've already met, except the old billionaire. So there's definitely a lot of dead people. But if everyone was here, it would seem like a marching band had wandered up on the stage, so, you know, we're kind of glad about that. Paula, Simon Starkweather III, and Jordan are cousins. Second or third cousins, I guess. You know, it doesn't actually fully make sense to me, but I wanted to clear something up for you, so I hope that did the job. Don't count me on all of that. I'm only on my second out of 5 cups of coffee today, so still kind of needing a little bit more, but thank you. I definitely hope that cleared some of these crazy family relations up for you. Thank you. Continue.
I don't have the foggiest notion where we are.
I'm not even sure who I am anymore.
Sorry, continue with Mackenzie and Albert's entrance.
What?
Give them their entrance cue.
What is it?
We'll probably get everything.
Who will?
Your cousin, Simon.
Oh, yeah, got it. Yeah, and he'll probably get everything.
Very good at your investigation, Miss Davis. I'll be glad to recommend you to my other clients.
I'm just doing my job, Miss Van Zandt.
Good evening, everyone.
I know we haven't met yet, but I've got a pretty good idea of who you all are. Fiona and her son Jordan
Yes, Miss...
Davis.
Oh.
Call me by that.
And you must be some sort of investigator?
You got it, pal. The private kind.
I see.
Who's this one sound going to be?
She's a detective, Mother.
Detective? How exciting. Ma'am, do you know Sherlock Holmes?
I'm afraid not, ma'am. He's a little bit out of my league. But I do know who you two must be, though.
Well, if you're a private investigator, I'd be surprised if you didn't.
Then the accent settles it. Paula Thompson?
You are 100% correct, ma'am. I'm with her. I'm from the deep south.
And that leaves you, Kathy Collins. It's wonderful to finally meet you in person.
Me too, Micah. Micah and I have corresponded on Mr. Starkweather's behalf, both by telegram and mail for a little while now.
Right, is this seat taken?
Look, I expect you to remain unobtrusive, okay?
Sure will, since I'm a dictionary and look at
Just sit over there by the fire and keep quiet.
By the fire? What? My backside still kind of soggy.
Keep an eye on her.
I shall do my best.
If all is in readiness, Miss Van Zandt, I shall inform Mr. Starkweather.
Thank you, Vincent.
There's coffee if anybody would like some.
I'll have some, Minerva.
How do you take it?
In a cup. Black face.
Still, Miss Van Zandt, as I understand it, Great Uncle Simon's asked you to discuss his will.
That is correct. Frankly, I didn't think it was a good idea. Mr. Starkweather told things were precarious at best. I insisted on contacting you by mail, but he just insisted on inviting you all here. I only hope he doesn't live to regret this decision.
All right, Miss Withers is bringing Mr. Starkweather in to join us.
Here you go, Mr. Starkweather.
Yeah.
You're feeding me.
To think I was once surrounded by presidents and kings. My world has shrunk to this. A meager handful of relatives and a staff of hired help. Simon! 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 Where's my grandson?
We do presume he's on his way, Mr. Starkweather.
Can't wait anymore. Not enough time.
You're looking very well, Uncle Simon.
Are you blind, boy? Or just a habitual liar?
I was only making pleasantries, Uncle.
I'll say your breath, Jordan. You've always been a smooth talker, but that doesn't get any eyes to me. You ain't nothing but a great opportunist, boy. I should know. I was on myself when I was your age.
But I guess it runs in the family.
I guess you're right. Well, Fiona, you look the same.
I do? Thank you, Uncle Simon.
That wasn't necessarily meant to be a compliment.
Great Uncle Simon, you're being awful.
At my age, with my money, I can afford to say exactly what I think. And I do. And how's my little Georgia feet?
Hello, me. Well, I'm just peachy, Uncle.
Would you care for some coffee, Mr. Starkweather? He mustn't have any. The caffeine could come away in effect of
Apparently I won't be having it. Minerva, you heard my keeper.
Yes, sir.
Everyone aspires to live to a ripe old age, and for what? To be kept alive by medicines and machines. To be kept to enjoy life's simple pleasantries like a cup of coffee.
You must excite some, Mr. Starkweather.
You see, I'm not gonna let it feel your strong emotions anymore.
That's a bummer.
You put it very succinctly, Magnolia. Old age is a bummer. I could have searched my vocabulary extensively and never come up with such an apt description. Bummer.
Glad you liked it.
According to my doctors, I wouldn't have to live in this weak old body much longer. There's only one thing I ain't to leave behind. My money.
You know what they say, Uncle. You can't take it with you.
Yes, that's what they say. That's why I Lois here draw up my will. I suppose you'd like to know how I provided for you, my heirs.
Well, I for one am just a teensy bit.
A teensy bit, eh?
I didn't do a thing.
Hang on. Shouldn't somebody call an ambulance?
We can't. The phones are dead.
It's fine. He just needs to breathe oxygen for a few months.
Tell me.
Very well. This is the will Mr. Starkweather was referring to. As you know, has been a phenomenally successful businessman for many years.
I'll say, he's been on the cover of Forbes magazine over a dozen times.
I never read it.
He has the distinction of becoming one of the world's first billionaires.
20 years ago, I begged Bureau to get advice from his uncle. He was just too proud.
Dad had his pride. Lots of pride and very little money.
If I may continue, Mr. Starkweather's fortune is now worth in the neighborhood of $50 billion.
We'll be in
If I knew that, I'd ask for a raise.
I won't go into the details of the will, but it essentially bequeaths $1 million to each of his household staff. This includes Nancy Pollard, his maid, Minerva Walker, his cook, Miss Trent, his housekeeper, Vincent Hurst, his butler, and of course, Miss Withers, his nurse, and Magnolia Jones, his gardener.
Super, forget the raise.
The will goes on to state that the rest of the money will be divided equally among his surviving relatives. These include Simon III, his grandson, Fiona, his niece, and her son Jordan, and Paula Thompson, his great niece.
I always knew you'd do right by us, Uncle.
I know you got mad about threw off the handle when Mama went off and married a Southern boy, but at least the two of you agree on one thing. Blood is thicker than water.
I bet Miss Withers can tell you if it is.
Now that I've informed you of the contents of the will, I have one more announcement to make. As of tomorrow, this will becomes invalid.
Invalid?
Invalid? What does invalid mean? Good. I got the sister that's invalid.
She means we're not going to give you the money, you fool.
Oh, guess I won't be buying that big screen TV I was hoping to then.
Sit with us, sit.
Great Uncle Si, may I ask, why is it that you decided to disappear us?
I found a better use for my money, that's why. Oh, don't worry, all y'all in the old will get $50,000 each.
50,000 out of 50 billion.
Lowest advice for you be nice to y'all little son. That way you'd be less likely to touch my new will.
Your new will.
Yes, that's why I asked Kathy to steal what Starkweather Nation so we can type it up nice and legal for my signature. This statement says a disinterested party will witness the signing and file it at the courthouse come Monday.
Miss Davis is a detective. What did you even hire her to do?
Over the last 6 months or so, I've flown to a dozen or more countries, speaking with some of the brightest minds that the world has to offer. Some well-known, others who prefer to keep their work a little more hush-hush, let's say. I succeeded in finding one. Let's call him Dr. X, willing to do what Mr. Starkweather wanted, which is to clone himself.
I don't understand.
Glad I'm not the only one. Those blood and skin samples there, the ones you said will be examined by specialists?
They were sent to specialists with us. Specialists in DNA.
I thought you were trying to find a cure.
I was, not the biggest ailment before death itself. And I did.
Cloning.
Precisely. Through modern science I shall live forever.
It's not right.
That's neither here nor there. Let the moralists and the politicians debate that for decades to come. Meanwhile, Dr. X, as Miss Davis so called him, will create a brand new me. Sit down with us! I suppose many of y'all are upset, not because of the moral question of cloning, but because of your lack of fortune. Well, too bad! Cloning is very expensive, especially since I require that it be done in absolute secrecy. Oh, but there'll be still a sizable fortune for the new me to inherit. No doubt I'll become the first person to become my own heir.
If you'll excuse me, I need to take his blood pressure.
Why don't you take it in here?
There's a better cuff that I can use in this room. Mr. Starkweather has nothing signed up one night. I'll come back.
Well, I suppose that concludes our meeting, unless any of you have any questions?
I do. What in the world was that all about?
Uncle Simon was gonna give us all the money, but instead he just snatched it away.
Yeah, but what does clone mean? It needs to take the cells from one person's body and create a duplicate. They can do that? That's amazing. Maybe when old Mr. Starkweather,
laws of nature. How?
Mr. Starkweather tells the man to a host mother who will carry the child's return.
A host mother. Who would that be?
Well, me.
What?
Why not? I'm young and healthy. I'd be a perfect mother for little Simon.
How could you ever consider being part of this chaos?
I'd be well compensated. Plus, have you ever known anyone to carry a baby billionaire?
So let me get this straight. Uncle Simon is giving his money to a baby?
In a manner of speaking, yes. His fortune will be placed into a trust fund which I'll administer. Ample funds will be provided to provide for his upbringing and education. After that, once he turns of age, he has access to the new fortune. Then he can take over Mr. Starkweather's business.
The kid will look, think, and act like Simon Starkweather. He could conceivably parlay those billions into trillions by the time he's old now.
But for what purpose? To leave it to another clone and then another? When will it end? When there's a Simon Starkweather with enough money and power to rule the world?
We didn't discuss it, but you might as well be right.
I can't believe you condone such madness.
I understand why that would. This Van Dant got cholesterol looked like billionaires himself on Mr. Starkweather's money. Money that should have gone to us and his family. I believe you'll get rich off this too, Miss Davis, won't you?
Not me. I'll take my very generous check and throw him off. Frankly, I don't care if Boss's little science fiction experiment works out or not.
You should be ashamed. You should all be ashamed.
Look, I believe you made your feelings quite clear, ladies. If you and the other servants will join me, I wish to speak to all of you in the kitchen. We'll clear after you've finished. I trust you'll ring if you require anything else.
It might be kind of nice, you know? Hearing the pitter-patter of little feet around the house.
Shut up, my boy. Kathy, you retire to my room. Why don't you type up the new one? Nice to meet you.
Sure, Lois. Sooner it's finished and signed, the better.
Now, hold on the cotton picking minute. How come nobody asked me if I wanted to carry the baby? I could do it just as well as she can.
Mr. Starkweather's blood can call up. It wouldn't be proper.
Oh, well, I guess that would be kind of tacky.
Proper? You guys are worried about being proper when you're about to conduct an experiment that makes Frankenstein look like an amateur.
Okay, cool it, kid, before you burst a blood vessel. Mr. Starkweather's made up his mind, and I get the feeling that whatever the old man wants, he gets.
Distinctly put, Miss Davis. Kathy,
I'll head upstairs and pack. Once I witness the signing tomorrow, there's no reason for me to hang around.
We were robbed.
We were?
Yes, Mother. Uncle Simon dangled a fortune in front of our faces and then just snatched it away.
That was me.
Mean? The man's a monster.
Now, quit being ugly, Cousin Jordan. At least he is leaving us 50,000.
50,000 is no more than just him tossing a dime to a beggar.
You're right. It doesn't matter with Levain's.
I wish he were dead. I wish the old goat would drop dead tonight.
It would serve her right.
If Uncle Simon did die tonight, then we'd all get our money. What are we... Do y'all want to play some bridge?
A penny for your thoughts? That's all I can afford to pay now.
Mr. Starkweather.
It's Jordan, remember? At least when Minerva the Dragon Lady isn't around.
I thought everyone had gone to bed.
I was gonna go to bed until I got an urge for a midnight snack.
Oh, I'll fix you something.
Oh, forget it. Never mind. What are you doing up?
Oh, Miss Trent sent me in here to make sure the fire screen is properly shut, so no sparks lost.
And burn Starkweather Mansion to the ground? Maybe that wouldn't be such a bad idea.
You should. You know Mr. Starkweather's an invalid. How you?
You read my mind. Hey, I got you to call me by my first name.
It's just such a pain. It's wicked.
You know I'm the black sheep of my family. If it happened tonight, you'd have millions and I'd have billions. Think of all the good times we could have together.
shouldn't do this.
Why not?
It's a horrible idea.
Which part? Part about the money or me and you?
It's part about the money.
What about us?
I
Nancy? I thought you were gonna help me with the dishes.
I was just checking the French doors, Minerva, to make sure they're properly shut.
I see. And what are you doing here?
I came down for I came down for a midnight snack. Then I stopped for a little chat with Nancy. Minerva, what are you doing with that knife?
Rinsing onions.
At midnight?
I can't stand the thought of having anyone see me try. I thought I heard something in here to make a check. Quickly check and then help me. If you
Yes,
want
sir.
to tell me, I'll find something.
Yes, Minerva. Anything you say, Minerva.
Magnolia! Oh, yeah, I thought I heard someone come in.
It was just me.
So I see, good grief with him. What are you doing with that axe?
Oh, it's like this. I remember chopping wood before it started raining and all, and see, I couldn't remember where I put it, you know? I've been like disremembering things a lot lately. Anyway, so when he came to me where I left it, I thought I probably should bring it in and dry it off good, so it don't rust.
That's fine, but why bring it into the living room? Besides, how many times do I have to tell you not to use the front door?
As many as you want, huh?
I swear, Magnolia, don't be a death in me yet. Go on into the kitchen and have Mrs. Train give you a towel.
I'm wet. It quit raining.
I know that to dry the axe.
Oh, right.
Back door. That lady had the range.
I heard that.
Penny for your thoughts?
Oh, George. Oh, I was just coming down for a breath of fresh air. What are you doing up this late?
Munchies. Want a cookie?
No thanks.
So did you and Miss Van Zant finish that new will?
Yes, it's all ready except for Mr. Starkweather's signature. I see you've calmed down. I wouldn't blame you if you hated me.
Why should I hate you? I'd do the same thing if I were in your shoes.
Oh, I'm sure you would, Shorty.
But aren't you forgetting something though?
What?
The little tyke will need a father. Somebody to mold him and replicate him into Uncle Simon. A heartless, money-making machine.
You think so?
Oh, I know so. And who'd be a better father figure than I? You're a beautiful lady, Kathy. We can mix business with pleasure.
Take your filthy hands off of me!
What?
You're getting cookie crumbs on my blouse. And if I decide little Simon needs a father after he's born, I'll pick a suitable husband then. I don't know who he'll be, but it won't be some money-hungry slime ball like you.
I could kill you!
I wouldn't try. I'll be a detective in the house.
Mom!
Are you finished eating it yet?
I need to make everything all right.
Well, hurry up, girl. Whenever one's in the kitchen.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't dawdle. Somebody left the French doors open. Person. Miss Thompson!
Mrs. Trent, for heaven's sake, you frightened me.
What on earth are you doing roaming the house in the middle of the night with a gun in your hand?
Well, you don't need to worry. I know how to handle a gun. You see, I couldn't sleep, so I thought I'd take it on into the kitchen. Clean it. I was looking for some oil.
I doubt you'll find what you need in there unless you want to rub it with some Crisco. Do you often carry that thing around with you?
This old thing, I'll take it everywhere I go. You see, my daddy taught me to be a crack shot when I was just 10 years old. In today's day and age, a girl can't be too careful.
Well, I don't think you have anything to worry about, Starkweather Mansion. It's miles from the nearest town, and no one ever comes out this way.
You mean to tell me that you've never had a burger or a crowd?
No.
Well, you know, with great Uncle Simon being so sick and all, it's a wonder somebody hasn't tried to break in and steal something. With his room being on the ground floor, I mean, anyone could just walk in those French doors, right into his room, and do who knows what.
Like shoot him?
Well, it could happen. It's terrible as that thought is. How would he go about defending himself?
He could sicken Nurse Weathers on them. That should frighten away any intruders.
You know, you're awful. But I wouldn't let her take me that one. Now, where does she sleep?
In the room behind Mr. Starkweather so that she can hear him if he rings his bell for her in the night.
So, if I remember correctly, when my mama brought me here when I was just a little girl, that room there was a library, and the one beyond it was a parlor?
Yes, when Mr. Starkweather became too ill to go up and down the stairs, the library was converted into a bedroom and Withers took the parlor.
So, they're the only two who sleep downstairs.
Yes, the servants' quarters are in the attic under the eaves. We have our own staircase from the kitchen. Why do you ask?
Oh, I was just curious.
Excuse me. I thought that little section was a little awkward and kind of weird. I suggested to Mr. St. John he cut it out, but he was like, what do you want me to do? Put a blueprint of the Starkweather mansion in the dialogue? Which I thought was kind of rude. So I left it in just for him, but I do want you to know I tried to correct it. Anyways, continue.
I want you to know that if you ever do that again, you have to bring that script up to the stage and play Mrs. Trent yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was great. I wish I had her. Where are we at?
So you're curious about the layout of the house?
Yeah, I was just curious.
Well, you know what they say. Curiosity killed the cat.
You know, you are right about that. Well, if you'll excuse me.
Wouldn't it be ironic if someone did break into my all nights? And
Mrs. Starkweather!
Hers! You nearly frightened me to death.
My apologies. Can I ask what type of pill you just thrown about the room?
Digitalis for my heart. I have a condition.
Digitalis. Doesn't that speed up one's heart rate?
Yes, my heart's just pump it away.
But perhaps a single dosage will be sufficient. I assume an overdose could be fatal.
Extremely fatal. Or am I being redundant? I suppose fatal's fatal, just like dead is dead. Don't you agree?
Completely. One cannot be deader than someone else is dead longer, perhaps. But that's the only comparison to that word that comes to mind. Might I inquire why you brought the medication into the living room?
That's a good question. Why did I bring them? Oh, I remember. I was just gonna ask Miss Withers if she had any spare, copies of some digitalis for me. I have a piece of on handy.
But it looks as if your bottle was full already.
It was, but one can't be too careful. We'd better pick these up.
Allow me to assist you.
Mr. Nurse, can I ask you something?
Be my guest.
Why are you carrying a wrench?
A wrench? Oh, well, Miss Withers told me she thought the valve on the gas heater in Mr. Starkweather's room was a little loose. I thought it would give me an extra turn or two. That's all.
Oh, how mechanical of you. We wouldn't want any of that gas to seep into his room, would we?
That's really not. But first things first, shall we?
Okay. I feel like a pigeon pecking popcorn.
You missed one there.
Where?
Behind your left kneecap. Left.
Spilled everywhere.
Sound objects tend to do that, Maria.
I got it.
Oh, Mrs. Starkweather, what are you doing on the board with Mr. Nurse?
We were just picking up my spilled pills. Please watch where you put your feet, dear. Both of them.
I assume Mr. Starkweather has required an injection. Is there a problem?
Oh, nothing I can handle. His lungs were congested, so I decided not to move it to the I also gave him an injection of steroids to help clear his bronchial passages.
My. Where would Uncle Simon be without you?
Probably dead, but without my help, his heart could be stopping him a long time.
Speaking of which, wasn't there something you wanted to ask Miss Withers from doing? The digitalis.
Oh, right. Miss Withers, I was just wondering if you had any spare digitalis. I have a problem and I like to keep a supply handy.
I'm afraid not. I'm sorry, Mrs. Starkweather, but I'm fresh out of Scarecrow. Your uncle has everything got me.
Well, we better pick all mine up. Will you help us?
Who knows? Is this a free game or can anybody join?
Oh, we were just picking up my spilled pills, Miss Davis.
Oh, is that it? I thought you were having a tiny little marble tournament. I'll pass.
Here, let me give you these to start with. I really must have done my duty.
And here are mine.
Thank you both from the bottom of my heart.
If you'll excuse me.
Miss Withers, how's the boss?
Bossy, he sent me for a pitcher of fresh drinking water. If I'm not back soon, he'll start ringing a bell. Tell me, Mr. Starkweather.
I gather he rings for you a lot.
Incessantly. When he stops raining, I'll know he's getting bucket. Excuse me.
Spoken like a true member of the medical profession. What about you? First, what's with the wrench? Got something I can help with?
Thank you, madame, but no, it will wait. I too shall excuse myself.
Well,
You're awfully late, Mr. Starkweather.
I couldn't sleep with the rain and all. What about you, Miss Davis?
Oh, I'm a real night owl. Plus, I was really hoping that the young Mr. Starkweather could arrive. I haven't gotten to meet him yet.
Simon's a sweet boy. I do hope he's all right with the storm.
Yeah, he may have pulled off on the road somewhere. It's clouding over. We could be in for another deluge.
I hope not. I better go up and try to get some sleep.
All right. Good night again, Mr. Starkweather.
Good night, Miss Davis.
I'll be Mr. Starkweather. Oh, you're still here. Yeah, just keeping an eye on things.
I see. Well, excuse me.
Miss Davis.
Yeah, I'm not the only one. It seems there's more traffic going through Starkweather Mansion at midnight than what goes down the interstate at rush hour.
I know what you mean. I've been hearing footsteps go past my bedroom door all evening. We could have guessed by the announcement would give us heirs a sleepless night or two.
Between me and you, Miss Davis, how do you feel about this cloning business?
Well, I'm a lawyer. I'm paid to think, not feel. Can Mr. Starkweather be cloned? Of course, there's no question that technology exists. Should he be cloned? Let's just say I wouldn't want another Rose Van Zant running about.
I know what you mean. I'm a simple gal. I've got enough problems for one lifetime. The sooner we get that will signed, the better.
Mr. Starkweather can sign it first thing in the morning.
He's still awake. The nurse was in here just a second ago. He was ringing for her.
Well, in that case, there's no reason he can't sign it now.
That's what I'm thinking. The people in this house are as tense as a bunch of long-tailed cats in a room full of rocking chairs. The sooner we sign that will, the better.
I'll go up to my room and get the will. Why don't you let Mr. Starkweather know?
Of course.
What in the world?
Combination? The circuit breaker must have tripped.
We had the storm passed hours ago.
I know, I don't like this. I'll find Vincent first and see if he can show me where it is.
Okay, I'll go check on Mr. Starkweather. It's okay, Mr. Starkweather. Mr. Starkweather!
Hello?
Is anyone in here? Mrs. Trent? Bensonhurst? Anybody?
It's Mr. Starkweather.
Oh no, he hasn't signed a new will yet, has he?
No, not yet. Perhaps he has fainted. We need some light. Mr. Starkweather! His hair's falling out.
It's Mr. Starkweather. Please help him.
This is around his neck.
He's dead. Someone put the blood pressure cuff around his neck, you said, and it's pumped up to the maximum. 300 millimeters of mercury. Mr. Starkweather has been strangled to death.
Poor Mr. Starkweather. Okay, concentrate.
Oh, give me a break. I'd say you and everybody else in this room are on the top 10 list.
We wouldn't do that.
Really? Okay, calm down. Let me check the body.
Those drops on his robe? Is it blood?
I'm not sure.
What else could it be?
I'm the detective, remember? I'll handle it. What can you tell us, Miss Withers?
Well, after I made sure he was breathing all right, I went to my room and lay down on my bed. A few minutes later, the lights went up. And then I was lighting a candle when it started ringing bells. Someone struck me with a heavy object. When I woke back up, the lights were on.
We can take it from there, Miss Withers.
You seem to be in charge, Miss Davis. What do we do now?
We keep trying the phones. If they're not back up by morning, someone will have to go into town and report that there's been a murder at Starkweather Mansion.
Murder?
Maybe the old bandit himself then. Or maybe not. Young Mr. Simon, you made it. And boy, do we have news for you.
Wasn't that just the most diabolical murder you ever saw? Don't you just love it? It's not really a wonder Mr. Starkweather went insane. Now, remember, during intermission, we need to get your ballots from you so that we know who the murderer is for the second act. So please be sure to turn those in. Thank you so much. See you soon. Well, hello again. I know who the murderer is. So, I just went over it with the cast, and we've gone over some different lines and things that will clue to who the murderer is, so you can continue to play armchair detective during the second act. We really hope you enjoy it. I'll be over there once again, making sure no mess-ups happen. Enjoy the ending of Murders in the Air.
Dead. I can't believe grandfather's dead.
Well, he is cousin. He's thinner than a doornail.
Funny you should say that because Vincent Hurst and I were discussing the degrees of dead earlier and...
Mother, please.
And he was murdered.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. You saw the body.
Poor grandfather. If I'd only gone here sooner, maybe.
How do I know that you didn't?
What?
How do I know that you didn't get here sooner? And kill the lights right before you killed Simon Starkweather?
That's ridiculous. Why would I kill him?
Well, I mean, I'd say a $50 billion fortune is a pretty good reason.
Well, I didn't know about his new will. Well, I told you what happened.
Tell me again.
Okay. I was given a snail's pace along that long country road that leads to Starkweather Mansion. Rain was hitting the windshield so hard I could barely see. And the wind was snapping branches off trees and blowing me into the car. It was like driving through a hurricane. When I got to the bridge that leads, that goes over the creek and leads to Starkweather Mansion, I just stopped. The bridge was out. And the creek had turned into a raging river, and it torn the bridge to pieces. I remember not far from there was a tree that fell down. I used to play on it when I was a kid. I found the dead tree, walked across it, even though water was nearly covering the trunk. I got here just in time, apparently right before Mr. Starkweather was murdered.
It's a good story, but it sounds rehearsed.
Not nearly enough. It's the truth, I swear.
All right, you're still on my suspect list.
And you should also be on that list, Miss Davis.
Everybody else in this building, well, except for Miss Collins and Miss Mondale. As it would be, they had a lot to gain had your grandfather lived only a few more minutes. Now, they're left out in the cold.
Especially me. Lois has other clients, but now I'm a lucky unemployed.
Now, I'm sure once you stay this up, we can arrange for you to be given a generous severance check.
Me and Jordan will pass.
So will I. Nothing personal, of course.
Of course.
Miss Davis, what do we do now?
We sit tight until daybreak. At that point, I'll have you show me the way to your car, and we'll head into town and report that there's been a murder and that the bridge is out. My guess is the cops will fly in by helicopter. They need to get the body to the coroner's. Once a homicide detective is assigned to the case, I'm out of here.
But wait, you're a detective too, and you were here when the murder occurred. You have a better chance of solving it than anyone else.
Maybe, but now that your grandfather's dead, I'm off the payroll.
Okay, well, then I'll hire you to stay. I won't have the money to pay you until I get my portion in inheritance, but if you're willing to stay.
All right, you're on, kid. I figure you're good for the dough.
How can we help Miss Davis?
I'd like to start by interviewing each of you and the staff. I want to know anything you saw or heard in the hours leading up to the discovery of the body that might help establish everyone's alibis. Yeah, along with where they were, alibis, clues, motive. That's what a detective has to work with.
Sounds like a good plan to me. Who do you want to start with, Miss Davis?
What about you, Miss Thompson? Can you start with you?
Miss Davis, I am very tired. But if I have to,
You don't have to, Paula. None of us do.
What do you mean, dude?
Miss Davis is just a detective. We can't tell her the time of day.
That's right, Cousin Jordan. But why would you refuse to cooperate unless you have something to hide?
Now listen, don't start accusing me of things unless you can prove it.
I mean, Simon's got a point. Why would you want me telling the police that everyone cooperated except for you?
Oh, all right. I'll answer your dumb questions.
Whom do you want to start with, Miss Davis?
Miss Thompson. As I said.
Well, Mother and I will pass. She's getting up in the years and she needs her sleep.
Thank you very much, Jordan. I'm no spring chicken anymore, but I'm no Methuselah either.
Do you need your digitalis?
No, but if I did, there's probably a color too, so I'm gonna make it count.
Let's go.
I had a little accident with the ball.
I would think you would be interested in the time between Mr. Starkweather's announcement and the time of Bonnie's town.
And how long was that?
Several hours. What about you, Miss Thompson? Can you tell us anything?
well, I was very disappointed to hear Great Uncle Simon's announcement as my brother announced it. I mean, I can understand why you want to come to that gunslinger, Clint Eastwood, but Great Uncle Simon? No offense, Cousin Simon, but your grandfather's not a very nice person. Anyway, I spent most of the evening in my room, but I did come downstairs once on a little errand. I was outside the kitchen door when I heard Minerva and that cute little maid Nancy talking.
What's the matter with you, girl? You haven't heard a word I said.
I'm Simon Ever. I'm so confused.
About what? Has that rugged scamp Jordan been bothering you again?
Jordan? I mean, Mr. Starkweather? What makes you think that?
When I walked in on the two of you in the other room, you were standing mighty close together. Real lovey-dovey like. What was he saying to you?
I think he wanted me
To do something you didn't want to do?
Yes, but it's not what you're thinking.
I'll bet. That boy better stay away or I'll cut him down to size.
No, he's not interested in me. I heard him with Miss Collins.
I understand. When you lost your millions, he lost his interest in you, didn't he? He's following the money right to that Collins girl.
Well, he proposed to her, but she turned him down.
Good for her. Serves him right, the lazy bum.
Don't call him that.
Fancy, he'll just throw you aside like he's done a dozen other girls I know.
Well, maybe he's ready to settle down. If Mr. Starkweather hadn't changed his view, though, he would be free to...
Free to do what, Nancy?
Nothing. If I'm done here, I'd like to go to my room.
Go on. Nancy,
Yes?
lock your doors.
So, Titus.
Something to explain. Now, that little section, dialogue in the foyer, it was a flashback showing a conversation Paula overheard before the murder. The rest of the characters' stories will also be shown in flashbacks, just like that one. I wanted to make sure that was clear. Anyways, I think that's all. Continue.
That girl is really nice.
So, Mrs. Trent, did you see or hear anything suspicious during the evening?
Suspicious. I suppose you call putting a gun around the house suspicious, even though Mr. Starkweather wasn't shot to death.
Now wait, who has a gun?
I mean, other than me.
Paula Thompson, that too. Claims she's a regular Amy Oakley. And she mentioned how easy it would be for someone to come through those French doors and kill Mr. Starkweather. Ask her yourself.
Anything else?
I did happen to hear a rather odd conversation between Mrs. Starkweather and Magnolia. I just gone upstairs to distribute candles in case of power outage, which turned out to be very useful, as you know. I was just about to turn the corridor into the west wing when I saw Mrs. Starkweather at the far end near the stairs.
Oh no.
It's stupid, whatever.
Magnolia, you nearly scared a girl's growth out of me.
Hey, at our age, we do all our grown out sideways anyway, don't we?
I certainly hope not. What are you doing with that television set? It doesn't look portable.
Well, it is now. I'm borrowing it from one of the extra rooms that I ain't used.
Whatever for.
Well, see, I'm sleepy, so I thought of watching TV. But my set in my room's all messed up. The color, I mean. Every person and every daggone channel is green. And, like, Dick Van Dyke's green, Carol Burnett's green, Frank Sinatra's green, everybody's green. Looks like everybody's starting to turn to the frog.
How disconcerting.
You can say that again, whatever it means. What do you got there? Are there some breath in it? I could use some, because I can still taste the crowd of my nervous or staff earlier. Oof.
No, these are fists. You mustn't have any of them. They're for my heart. I have a condition.
Oh. Well, in that case, I'll pass. But you better not leave me lying around. Somebody can eat one of those and kill over death.
Certainly hope not.
What would you put on her death certificate? Like, cause of death, bad breath?
That's not a laughing matter. And I'll be careful with these, Magnolia. I have to have every single one of them. Every one of them.
Now, you let Magnolia have an axe in the house?
Yes, Master Simon! I even instructed her to chop some firewood earlier.
I'm surprised you trust her with an axe.
Look, personally, I wouldn't trust her with a butter knife, okay? I was simply relaying Mr. Starkweather's instructions.
Okay. Anything else of interest you happen to notice?
Just one, madame. Earlier tonight, I was coming from the kitchen when I saw Master Jordan at the door to Mr. Starkweather's room. His behavior was somewhat furtive. I got the impression he was about to enter when the door flew open and Miss Withers came out. It was apparent her unexpected appearance startled Master Jordan.
Jordan, what are you doing?
I was gonna go check on Grandpa Simon.
No need. That's just what I'm to do.
How is he?
So really, that's what you want to do?
Do you think he'll make it through the night?
I think Mr. Starkweather will keep his heart beating through sheer determination. One new sign of the will. That is what you want to know, isn't it?
What? You misjudge me, Miss Withers.
Give a rush, Jordan. You're supposed to see him drop dead like everyone else in his house.
Even you. Everyone in this house would kill for that much money.
If that's a hint, forget it. As Mr. Starkweather's nurse, I'd be the prime suspect if his death could be anything but by natural causes. Look, if you're hinting at anything, forget it. Okay? I'm gonna pay you said all of that. Good night, Jordan. It's true. Jordan Starkweather did hint that I was in a position to end his great uncle's life. I assume Vincent Hurst also told you that I refused. He did, but you could have changed your mind. And then killed him with the blood pressure cuff? That would have been just hardly what you call by natural causes. I agree. The manner by which Mr. Starkweather was killed makes no sense. Whoever did it.
Instead, the killer is flaunting the deed in our faces.
Why would they do that? That's a good question. Let me ask you this. If you had to choose a suspect, of course, you didn't kill him, who would it be? Off the record, I'd say that Thompson girl, Paula. She's too goody-goody for my taste. Those Southern girls can form the charm, but Scarlet Hair was pretty ruthless when you get down to it.
We have been told Cousin Paula has a gun.
See what I mean? I think she and Jordan were both desperate to get their hands on Mr. Starkweather's billions. I overheard them talking earlier this evening, shortly after Miss Van Dant announced them without the well. They didn't notice me down the hall.
Well, what are we gonna do?
Do? What can we do? It's out of our hands.
Don't be such a wimp, Cousin Jordan. That money rightfully belongs to us. There's got to be a way to get it.
I mean, we could have Uncle Simon declared as insane.
See, I thought of that, but that don't run, huh? You see, if Roman was just some wild theory, well, sure, but it isn't. It's renewable. We lose that case.
Yeah, it's going to depend on all the lawyers.
Like that makes things hand.
What?
Well,
thinking, if you can't beat him, join him.
Huh?
I just thought of a way to get Miss Van Zandt to put me on her team.
How?
Think for yourself, Cousin Jordan. We can talk to that lawyer.
If you can't beat them, join them? Oh, now where would Miss Collins be?
It's true. Jordan did suggest we get married. It wasn't what I'd call a romantic proposal, more like a business proposition.
You're gonna have access to billions, and what did Jordan have to offer you?
Himself, I guess, but in my opinion, that fortune hunter wouldn't be worth 2 cents. Jordan is attractive in a smarmy sort of way, but any woman who would marry him would be a fool. And believe me, Micah, I'm no fool.
I know that. I've known that since the day we started working together.
You're smart enough to volunteer to carry Grandpa's clone.
Look, once Mr. Starkweather decided to clone himself, nothing anybody said was going to change it. So
Well-
he might have found a surrogate mother somewhere.
I understand that. I just think the whole idea was kind of creepy.
You were a lot nicer about it than the other heirs were. Paula, for one, she hadn't given up hope of getting her hands on Mr. Starkweather's money.
How do you know?
When Lois and I were in her room earlier this evening, Paula came by and knocked on the door, but asked to speak to Lois in private, so they stepped out into the corridor. But Lois didn't close her door completely, so I couldn't help but overhear the conversation.
We're very busy, Miss Thompson. Preparing that new will. Yes. Miss Van Zandt, who are you calling? Are you sure this clone business is legal? Couldn't you use your license to practice it?
Your process will be performed in Belgium. I lost in a fire.
Well, what about ethics? Have lawyers been disbarred before for behavior that was unethical, if not illegal?
What's your point?
Well, I want in on that deal. You can pay me from that trust fund to be the baby nanny or whatever you want to call this position. If you refuse, I shall be forced to report you to the Bar Association. Ain't that what you call it? It is. Let me give you some free legal advice, Miss Thompson. In the first place, if you make any accusations against me before the cloning procedure has been completed successfully, I'll stand for the $50 you're due to receive. And everything else you own, I'll get it. In the second place, once the baby is on its way, I'm going to shut down my office. I shall devote all my time to Kathy and Little Simon's care. At that point, it shouldn't bother me in the least if I be disbarred. You don't have to be a lawyer to Mr. Estate. Anyone can do it. So you see, Miss Thompson, your threats are meaningless. In fact, as an officer of the court, I should report your feeble attempt at extortion to the police. No, I wasn't. Save it! Take your silly feelings out of my sight and I might be willing to forget it. Oh, all right. I'll go. You lawyer.
Yes, Miss Trent. I found those left at the Christmas candles I stored away last year. I thought it might be a good idea to pass them out in case of a power outage. I suggest you keep one and some matches nearby.
That's very thoughtful. Thank you. I'll take one for Kathy.
Miss Thompson?
Oh, all right. I'm heading to my room. There's something there that I don't get.
What's the matter with her?
Let's just say Miss Thompson's a poor loser. She played her eights and I trumped it in a manner of speaking. I'll give this to Kathy.
Magnolia, when Miss Collins screamed earlier tonight, you came in from outside. What were you doing outside?
Was I outside? Oh, yeah, I was. I remember now. I borrowed a set, like a TV set from the guest room, because like my TV.
We heard why, Magnolia. All the characters on your set were green.
Sure was. Looked like Martians had landed or something.
Man, news show travels fast around here. So what were you doing outside, Magnolia?
So when I got the new TV from the guest room, I was like trying to plug it in, and I finally got it plugged in,
Jordan, anyone else?
No, but Minerva and Ransomer's were going on and on about the new wheel.
What were they saying?
That it ain't fair, that's what. That they have worked hard for Mr. Starkweather all these years, and they need to get their fair share of the money. Minerva was so mad, and whoo, that woman has a temper. She was about ready to storm into Mr. Starkweather's room, give him a piece of her mind.
Wait! You mustn't go in there, Minerva!
Yeah, and who's gonna stop me?
I shall if necessary!
You and who's armed?
Look, I totally agree with you that we were wrong, but confrontation is not the answer.
Then what is?
Have patience! Mr. Starkweather hasn't signed the new will yet. Perhaps he'll change his mind by morning.
We should live so long.
No, Minerva! He should live so long!
So, Mr. Starkweather, what were you doing outside about the time of the murder?
Getting a breath of fresh air. Anything wrong with that?
Not if you remained outside.
What do you mean?
When I did a cursory examination of the crime scene in Mr. Starkweather's bedroom, I noticed that Miss Withers had left the window open even just letting some fresh air. It would have been easy for anyone to slip in and
Are you accusing me of killing Great Uncle Simon?
I'm not accusing anybody yet.
Besides, Cousin Jordan, it seems that calling someone else into doing your bidding is more your style.
Who told you that?
I'll ask the questions. Then I'll ask you again. What were you doing outside?
If you must know, that Collins girl, we had an argument and I blew up. So I went outside to get a breath of fresh air. Or did you already hear about that too?
I asked. Fine. Let me ask you this. If you didn't kill him, but him, who do you kill?
Have you talked to that little baby, Kathy? I mean, Nancy, I get them confused. The girl has a crush on me. I flirt with the girls a lot, but I did nothing to lead her on.
And why her, Cousin Jordan?
The girl has a crush on me. I already told you that. But she was so upset because she was going to lose her millions and I would lose even more.
Anything else? Jane, what's the line? Well,
Jordan, you were still supposed to be talking about Nancy.
I think we've heard enough about Nancy.
or Kathy, or whatever you call them.
Exactly. Get the
Maybe
name
get-
straight.
I'm sorry,
maybe
there's
get
too
the
many.
name right.
What's the line? What's the next scene?
Nancy
No.
needs to come in already.
Nancy, all right, where's Nancy? Nancy.
No.
Nancy!
They're supposed to come up here, but
Nancy
they're
Withers.
missing their cue, so.
Exactly.
I just needed fresh water because my Mr. Starkweather's been I on it.
That poor man. The attack has lost his breath in the living room. I understood what you meant when you said the slightest shock could prove to be fatal.
Exactly.
The slightest shock. His bell. Yes. I wouldn't want anything happening to him. Would we? I was surprised to hear that Mr. Starkweather had even included me in his will. I didn't even think he noticed me.
Well, you must have received two surprises then. To hear that you were receiving $1 million and then immediately have to run away.
Well, 3 surprises actually now. Now you're lucky again.
Oh, Mr. Starkweather, I was thrilled to hear that your grandfather had even given me $50,000. With that, I could go to college and, like you, get a good education.
You can do anything you want, Nancy. What do you want to do?
I don't know. I haven't been really thinking about myself much lately.
What have you been thinking about, honey? Jordan Starkweather, perhaps?
Who told you that?
Jordan himself, for one. He even implied you may have been willing to kill for him.
He what? How could he say such a thing?
sorry to hurt you, Nancy, but now you see what Jordan's really like. He's out for himself and will trample anyone who gets in his way.
I guess I knew that. Minerva even tried to warn me. I even heard him with Miss Collins. He proposed to her, but she turned him down and later laughed about it when she told a friend, Miss Van Zandt. I was taking fresh towels to the guest room when I heard a conversation between them. You think Jordan is cold-hearted, but Miss Collins just as bad as he is.
Can you believe it? Those soulful gazes might work on some innocent young thing like that made Nancy, but Jordan learned quickly enough I'm no pushover.
I wish you'd been to see it. It's time Jordan ends match. I could tell Nancy about some of the maids who worked here before her. His Playboy days will be over soon enough, though.
Well, what do you mean?
Up until now, Mr. Starkweather has given Fiona, Paula, Jordan, and Simon a generous allowance. Once he passes on, the $50,000 increase will be the last they get of the Starkweather fortune. He'll have to learn what it's like to work for a living.
Well, Simon will be fine. He's almost out of school. But the others, they'll go through the money in no time. Then what will they do? Can you imagine Paula behind the desk of a car rental agency?
Or Jordan driving cars out of the lot for customers?
And what will Fiona do? Sell Avon?
Can I get you anything, Cousin Fiona? A glass of water, perhaps?
No, dear, I'm fine. And Miss Davis, I just want to let you know that my Jordan couldn't have done what was done to Uncle Simon. He was with me in my room all evening.
You know, that's not true, Mrs. Starkweather. Jordan himself told us he was outside tonight, and I saw you in here with Vincent and Miss Withers.
That's right. Maybe it was the last night he spent with me. Now I finally get why Sherlock Holmes never believed any of the suspects he wrote about in his books either.
Focus on tonight, Mrs. Starkweather. Did you see or hear anything that could help us?
I mean, I saw Uncle Simon's body with that thing around his neck. I call that place suspicious.
I think I might have meet before that, Cousin Fiona.
Oh, before? Let me think. I don't know if this is something y'all really want, but...
Yes.
Well, it was right after the new will had been announced, and we had all gone upstairs. I was passing by that secretary's door, and I heard her and the housekeeper talking. They were talking quite loudly, so I couldn't help but overhear.
What are you doing in my room, Mrs. Trent?
I was checking the guest bedrooms to make sure there are extra blankets in each. I suppose you're very pleased with yourself, Miss Collins.
What do you mean?
It all worked out just as you planned.
I'm not sure I understand.
I think you do. I understand now when you brought all those news magazines from town and left them lying around where Mr. Starkweather would see them. You've done it for months.
What magazine?
Don't think dumb, Miss Collins. Those news magazines and scientific articles, I've seen them. They all had one thing in common, articles about cloning. I didn't realize it until tonight what you were doing, but now it's obvious you planted the idea in Mr. Starkweather's head to clone himself.
What if I did? There aren't any laws against it, are there?
I'm sure your lawyer friend would say no, since you're in this together. But that doesn't mean it's right. I think what you're planning to do is hideous.
To be perfectly frank, I couldn't care less if you think. Get out.
Starting to give orders already? I'll leave. But remember one thing, young woman. You're not the queen bee yet, and you won't be until Mr. Starkweather's name is on that dotted line. Assuming that ever happens.
What happened to you about
Miss Trent's accusations that she engineered the cloning business possibly with my help. But we weren't breaking any laws. It's a surprise that Miss Starkweather recorded their conversation accurately.
So it's true. You and Kathy gave Grandfather the idea to clone himself.
I don't think that's relevant to the case at hand. And like I said, even if we weren't breaking any laws. Don't you agree, Miss Davis?
your right forward?
Then shouldn't we be focusing on the law that was broken? I'm referring to murder, of course.
Once again, right as always, Miss Van Zandt. Do you have any information you can volunteer?
I will tell you this. I was going to get a cup of coffee for Kathy and I. It was apparently going to be working late. I thought that caffeine might help us stay awake. As I was going into the kitchen, I overheard a conversation between Fiona and Magnolia. Their conversation was quite peculiar.
Good heavens, Magnolia, what are you doing with that?
Axe?
I brought it in from the wood pile, dried it off good too, 160.
Please put it away. No.
I better. Poor Kurt's money. Where do you steal from?
It's a terrible thought.
Ain't it? I get those sometimes. See? I think you still got your poison pills.
Digitalis isn't a poison, it's a stimulant. You just have to be careful not to take too many.
Yeah. Well, you better be careful not to let Minerva find them in them, because she fixes Mr. Shark with her spoon. She's mighty mad at him right now.
What are you suggesting?
Oh, nothing. Were you on something in the kitchen?
I was just seeing if Minerva had any of those delicious hors d'oeuvres left over.
I can look.
It's okay. I seem to have lost my appetite.
Mr. Starkweather's meals? What do you want to know about them?
Where did he eat? Where did he eat? What did he eat? Did he dine with anybody?
Mr. Starkweather was on a very strict diet. Low salt, low fat. I had to prepare his meals separately from everyone else's. Why are you asking about the food? Do you think there's something wrong with my cooking?
You're a wonderful cook, Minerva. The leopard lamb you served us earlier tonight? Phenomenal.
Yes, well, I've often been told I have terrific legs. So what's the problem?
Forget it. You answered my question. Change of subject. Do you recall who was in the kitchen with you whenever you sleep with the
Let me think. I went to the pantry to check for supplies for breakfast when the lights went out. It took me a moment to get out the candle which Trent gave me and light it.
Minerva, Nancy, is everyone all right?
I was in my room when the lights went out.
What happened?
Bensonhurst forgot to pay the light bill.
Keep that up and I'll forget to pay your wages.
What in blazes is going on?
Apparently the storm knocked out the electricity. My candles did come in handy, you see.
Remind me to give you a gold star later. Bensonhurst, can you get the lights back on?
That's what I was just coming to find out. Mr. Bensonhurst?
The circuit breaker is right down here.
I hope they hurry. I don't like the dark.
That quick enough for you? I'll be back to my chores.
What did that idiot come inside for? She tracked water all over my clean floors.
Why Mr. Starkweather doesn't fire her, I'll never know.
Any luck?
Well, it was there, all right. I just hope it's enough. I mean, it could take months for the results to come in. By that point, if the will is probated, the killer could be long gone. You can buy your identity for $1 million more pretty easily.
I was hoping we'd find out more from questioning the suspects.
Yeah, me too. They were so busy trying to make each other look guilty, they completely forgot about themselves. Sometimes, it's the slightest sign of liberty.
What?
I think it is. What they were doing was so insignificant at the time. I got who killed your grandfather. I'll tell everybody at once. Go tell Bensonhurst.
Never sent me in here to sleep like a pot of coffee?
Oh, well, never mind that. Go upstairs and tell everyone up there to come down here immediately.
Yes.
Sir? I don't think anybody will mind if I use sandwich bags for evidence. I don't think they'll mind at all. Come in, have a seat.
It's very late for stages. If nobody else is gonna ask, I will. Why on earth would you call us together at this hour?
It is pretty late, isn't it? Well, are tired. I know I am, but I figured you could rest easier knowing who murdered Mr. Starkweather.
You know.
Wait, you mean you discovered to have killed Grand Uncle Simon?
I think I have a piece, as I will show you in the next few minutes.
I'm amazed, Micah. How long did you do it?
Well, first I had to find the answer to a question that's been bothering me since the beginning. Instead, it would have been so easy to make it look like Mr. Starkweather's death was an accident, a suggestion Jordan made to Miss Withers earlier tonight. For example, Fiona or Jordan could have taken some of her digitalis and triggered a heart attack. Something any of you could have done that knew she had the pill and spilled some on the floor of this very room, no doubt, when she had that accident earlier tonight. And Miss Withers could have injected a bubble into his bloodstream using a heavy needle. It's a possibility some of you even consider frightening the poor old man to death. Minerva with her knife, Magnolia with her axe, Bensonhurst with his wrench, Paula with her gun. Why then would the killer choose to strap a blood pressure cuff around his neck and pump it until he strangled to death? I mean, the solution is so simple, I feel foolish for not seeing it earlier.
Might want to ask what that is.
Obviously, when the blood pressure cuff was put around Mr. Starkweather's neck, he was already dead.
What?
Isn't that right, Miss Van Zandt?
You really are clever, Miss Davis.
It had to have been you. We were in this room together when the lights went out. I went to go find Bensonhurst, and you went to go check on Mr. Starkweather.
That's what I figured too.
And the killer must have slipped into Miss Withers' room right before you walked in.
That is correct, yes.
Why did the cuff out his neck?
As our able detective here surmised, the killer made it appear that he had died due to a heart attack. Death seemed to have indeed been due to natural causes. But I was certain that someone in this house had murdered him. I wasn't about to let my employer's murderer go away scot-free. I knew that the coroners would have no reason to perform an autopsy, neither would the police conduct an investigation. So I noticed the blood pressure cuff on his nightstand, and I inflated it around his neck. And then I came and joined you guys here in the
Can you explain where no one would question the fact that he'd been murdered?
So young Simon hired Davis to find the killer.
Which I have, as I'll show you. Stay seated. I'm sure you all still have your candles that Mrs. Trent passed out earlier tonight. Please take them out and light them. When I initially examined Mr. Starkweather's body, I noticed some drops that I at the time assumed to be blood, but now know to be an entirely different substance on his robe. I later noticed the same drops on the floor next to the couch. And one of you was picking at your thumbnail with your index finger when I was interviewing you. I mistook it for a nervous habit at the time, but now I know it was nerves brought on like guilt, wasn't it? Anyway, in this bag, I have red tallow. The same red tallow found on Mr. Starkweather's body, the floor next to the couch. The same red tallow from the only red candle in this room, which you're holding, Miss Thompson.
What?
There might have been other red candles.
There are. I remember thinking last Christmas we'd have to buy some more for next year.
But
Is this the only evidence you have of
oh,
the
not
red
at all.
candle?
You see, when I examined Mr. Starkweather's body, I managed to get some skin samples from underneath his fingernails, and as I paced the room earlier, I noticed you have some small scratches on your wrist, caused by Mr. Starkweather, no doubt, as he fought for his life.
Well, I don't suppose you consider animal scraping to put them in it, would you? I don't think so.
Why
This thing's there. I guess my biggest mistake was trying to cross a lawyer. I may have taught you to do accents to Great Uncle Simon's billions, but you definitely got your revenge.
Why don't you tell us what happened?
I might as well. You figured out the main details anyway. You see, I was furious with Great Uncle Simon for filling up our hooks like that and then just dashing into the ground. I thought a man like that didn't deserve to live. It took me 2 attempts to finish the job. Mrs. Trent almost spoiled it. But later on that night, I listened outside his door the whole way until I was sure. So I slipped inside. He was in his wheelchair, still waiting. I walked right up to him and told him that I thought what he was about to do was monstrous. That a man like that didn't deserve to live. I gripped the handles of his wheelchair and told him I was going to kill him. He was terrified. He wheeled backward in his wheelchair and hit his nightstand, sent his wheel crashing to the floor, and that pitcher of water on top of it, it blew the circuit breaker. And that almost ruined everything. But I had that candle and matches in my pocket still. So with one hand, I pulled it out, lit it, and with the other, I grabbed that oxygen mask off his chair and I twisted down real hard over his nose and mouth. He couldn't breathe, of course. He was like a fish out of water. He was terrified. He was fighting me back, but he wasn't able to do much. He was ringing that awful little bell with one hand, and with the other, made those seemingly insignificant scratches on my wrist that you so cleverly notice in the States. I would have gotten away with it too. And then, once the murder was done, I backed off his wheelchair, admired my work for a moment or two, then blew out the candle and slipped into Miss Withers' room. She was standing there still awake, trying to light the candle. I grabbed a brass candlestick from her bureau and struck her down with it. She hit the ground real hard. Then, I heard her call and scream. I slipped out of her room into the hallway and came in with the rest of y'all. But then when I came in, the blood pressure took. How was I supposed to know she was going to do that? It made sense once I saw it, though. Miss Van Zandt, I would have loved to kill you too. But I wouldn't dare try. Until now, everybody's free! I don't have nothing to lose now, do I?
Let's not do anything you're going to regret.
Give me my hand. It's a little late for that, don't you think, Davis? Get up, Lois. You're coming with me.
Where's your torch down?
I know where that tree is that Simon mentioned. Throw your keys on the table. Now!
Careful not to scratch it.
What about me? I'll never get away.
I think that I might. Y'all's cars are still on this side of the street. Get 'em. And the bridge is washed out. It would take you hours walking to town and the phones are still out. It'd be hours before you got to the police. And I'd be long gone by then.
What did you do about me?
I would have committed the perfect murder. If you wouldn't mess it up, and I love perfect. What do you think I'm going to do with you? You want to think if I can help it? You murdered me!
Oh, you
too!
Consider it a preview of the afterlife. Fine.
Well, you think that prison has a chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution?
Wait, don't pull the curtains yet.
What on earth?
It's cold pepper. It's telegram to you.
Oh, wow. Mr. St. John just awoke from a drug-induced coma, and he says a brilliant finale to the play came to him. It's way better than anything that he's performed tonight. So, if you don't mind,
we're gonna have to redo the whole play.
I thought I told you to use the back door.